I think relativism, or whatever term you want to use for it, is one of the major things that we have to deal with if we're going to talk about religion or espouse religion. I think one of the things to start out admitting with students is that, yes, everything is relative. Absolute is a characteristic of God, and only God. Now, not all of us have been raised that way. Yeah? We've been taught that some of our formulations of belief were absolute, certain structures of the church were absolute. But everything is conditioned by the historical situation, the context in which people say something or do something. Right? We admit that. However, there is a certain objectivity to the realities in which we live. If there's not, why have law courts? Why have any kind of accounting? Why go to school and learn anything? If it's just a question of your opinion is just as good as anybody else's opinion. In other words, while none of us grasp truth absolutely, there is something there toward which all of us should be working together and sharing our insights. Now that opens up for the fact that there are many ways of looking at something. And I don't take for granted that my way of looking at it is necessarily the best. I hold it because it seems to me to make sense. I listen, however, to other people, which is one of the most difficult things to do, to really listen and find out why they think differently than I do. But in today's world, where we become one world, where we can't avoid all these other cultures, we can no longer think that we in the Western world by ourselves have the answer to things. We can't. So I think to point out the positive values of a certain relativism, and yet say that that doesn't mean any opinion is just as good as any other. And yet I think, particularly religious circles, this has gone beyond what it should be. Let me give you an example. When the Pope came over a few years ago and they had that big gathering of young people from all over the country, and they met out in Denver, and the young people were very enthusiastic about the Pope, and so they were being interviewed later on. And they asked, well, what did you think of him? Oh, nice man, very kindly, and so on and so forth. Well, then how can we disagree with him? And their answer was, he's got a right to his opinions. I personally could not agree with that. I mean, I think there's a certain foundation that makes your opinion a good, solidly based opinion, or something right off the top of the head. And we don't need anything right off the top of the head.